Meanwhile, Bangko Sentral Governor Armando Tetangco Jr. sees inflation rate to slow down later this year. The details from this report.
The Philippines' growth will stay the course despite the risks that could hurt the gains for the past 3 years. Bangko Sentral Governor Armando Tetangco expressed optimism that despite the rising prices for rice, electricity, and even fuel, inflation, which registered 4.9% for July, will eventually cool down by the end of 2014. Tetangco stressed the fundamentals of the economy are sound and strong.
While growth appeared to have moderated in the first quarter, and we now see upside pressures to domestic inflation, the underlying narrative of the Philippine economy remains the same. Mr. Chairman, the domestic economy continues to expand above historical average. We also expect inflation to remain within the government's target range in 2014 as well as in 2015. Supported by well-calibrated monetary policy settings.
The banking system maintained its solid footing, boosting further credit conditions to support economic growth. More loans were approved for the expansion of companies, small and medium-scale enterprises. Despite volatilities in the global market, the current account of the first quarter remains strong. Foreign exchange reserves remain adequate at $80 billion. The peso is regaining its strength in the foreign exchange market.
While previous BSP measures are still working their way into the system, liquidity remains ample, and rapid bank credit growth could potentially lead to price pressures and financial imbalances, while at the same time supporting the requirements for growth. However, we believe policymakers have sufficient policy space to counter these risks. Sufficient and properly allocated fiscal spending could support growth. Timely implementation of supply-side measures would also help keep prices manageable. In the monetary sector, the BSP has already preemptively adopted or adjusted some of its tools to guard against potential risks to price and financial stability. The BSP remains prepared to implement further policy actions as needed to prevent any potential build-up in inflation expectations and financial imbalances.
However, Tetangco said there are risks that could impact on growth, natural calamities, and the threat of power outages on the local front. From overseas, uncertainty of monetary policies of other nations, the decline of growth in emerging economies, political unrest in other nations. For the People's Television Network, this is Freddie Abando reporting.